Well, hi everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today for Streamline and Make Time with Jotform Workflows. I am Morgan Science. I'm the product education manager here at Jotform. I'm very excited to have you here today. We have a large group of people on the line, and we know there's a lot of excitement around this product. So I'm going to keep things pretty short in my intro here. You may see that my colleague Sarvet Kurt is here with us. Sarvet is the product manager for Workflows, and we're going to be hearing directly from him today about how we've developed the Workflows product and the benefits of using it and what's coming in the future. After his overview, I will be giving a demo, and then we'll both be on the line at the end for questions. So send in your questions at any time. I will try to answer some behind the scenes as we go. And whatever I can't get to, we'll try to get to in Q&A at the end. And I think that's all I want to say before I pass things over to Servet. So over to you.
Thank you, Morgan, for the introduction. As Morgan said, I'm the product manager of Workflows, and I'm leading the product since last couple of years. And I'm excited to take you from here and share more about what this product can do. We can continue with the next slide. So as you know, we have started this journey with approvals product. So initially there was this approvals product. And if you think about the reason why we developed approvals product in the first place, and I will continue why we developed, of course, workflows product. The reason was this, like after every form submission, actually there's a process that is going on. So form submission is actually the first step of many other steps that follows. When you think about a job application form, once this form is submitted, right, like someone needs to check it, and then afterwards someone needs to approve it, deny it, then someone needs to send an email, and then someone needs to collect documents afterwards, someone needs to store these in a cloud storage, etc. Like there are so many steps that follows after a form submission. And the reason why we developed this product was because we wanted our users to bring this process to Jotform and automate it on Jotform. So we realized that our users needed more than data collection. And that's why we came up with the approvals product in the first place. And we introduced Jotform approvals around 2-3 years ago, which had a drag and drop builder to manage approvals. We can continue with the next slide. However, soon we realized that from our users' feedback that our users wanted to automate all of their processes in Jotform, and approvals was just one part of it, but was not enough. So that's why we developed the workflows product. Now with this product, users can handle their task assignments. They can integrate it with the third-party apps they use every day, and they can collect payments. They can request payments at any step they want in their workflows. So this product now gives our users one place where they can automate all of their business processes. We can continue. So I will, like with that context in mind, I will now dive into some of the key features of Jotform workflows that enable our users to manage and automate complex workflows effectively. So first key feature, of course, with Workflows product, we launched so many new features, but these are some of the most critical features. So one of the key features we came up with was assign task. Earlier, we only had approval task, and it was limiting the flexibility of the platform. So you could only define an approval task. But if you needed other tasks like if you wanted from someone to upload some documents and complete some checklists, issue some payments and all and such things, you needed more flexibility. In order for you to define custom tasks and assign it to users, we came up with assign task element, and this is far beyond approvals. So you can customize it according to any need you have. And on top of that, you can match the task completion pages to fit your company branding. So you can white label actually these task completion pages to reflect your company's logo and colors and give you the professional experience for all the external participants that are that you are assigning tasks. Another key feature, we can continue. We can continue with the next slide, Morgan. One previous, please. Yes, perfect. So now that we have covered task assignments, I would like to tell you a little bit about another powerful feature that brings even more flexibility to this platform, and it is integrations. Because earlier, what we had with approvals product was this: you could automate your approval process. But if you wanted to connect with the apps you use every day, it wasn't possible. And for you to do that, we have added integrations to this platform. And it is actually very powerful in that sense. Think about it. Someone is filling out a form for an appointment, and after that, it comes to you for approval. You approve it, and you want only the approved appointments to be created as calendar event, right? So earlier there was no way to do this, but now with a human decision, after you only approve an appointment, it gets sent to the calendar, and then afterwards you can send notifications. So it means that now you can, for the first time also in Jotform, run conditional integrations. Another thing is now you can run parallel integrations. So if you have 3 integrations, couple of integrations, let's say, that needs to be run after an approval action is taken, you could just do that. So after an approval, you create a record on Airtable, send the chat message to Slack, and then upload some files to Google Drive. So you can now do this all in parallel. So this is super powerful that we have integrations in our workflow product now, and you can add it to any step in your workflow. We can continue. So let's talk about another feature that makes Jotform Workflow this time uniquely powerful, because there's as far as our research has been telling us, as far as we see, there is no any other product that you can request payments within workflows. So with this product now, it is possible to request payment at any certain step in a flow. So we support 40 trusted gateways like we have in the forms. So all the payment gateways we have in the forms are also being supported in this payment element, like Square, PayPal, Stripe, Authorize.net, and all of these. And of course, we continue getting no extra fees, so you can collect payments without incurring additional transaction fees. And you could just place this element wherever you want in your workflow. And at this certain step, when the flow reaches to that step, payment will be requested. It's like you can accept payments for your orders and at any step in your flow, or if they're an unbenefit, if you're a non-benefit organization, and if you are accepting donations, then you could also do it within a workflow. All you need to do is just add this payment element wherever you want in your workflow, and when the workflow reaches to that step, then the payment will be requested. We can continue. Now let's explore some common use cases that show how Jotform workflows fit into real world scenarios. Actually, it is all up to your imagination, like what you can do with this product, since each element is like part of puzzle pieces. You could automate any process you want. It can capture both software and human tasks, and it helps you to build all these in a process, in a workflow process. So it is incredibly versatile. You could automate employee onboarding. If you're an HR team, you could automate expense reimbursement flows very easily if you have a finance team and so on. So you could actually use this product in many different cases. And looking ahead, we are actually improving this product every day, and we are excited to keep expanding Jotform workflows with even more powerful features. Each day you will see that we will be adding more and more integrations to this platform. And also we are working on tracking pages. So your users in the future will be able to track wherever the workflow is at exactly. And this will help further streamline your processes and give even more control over your workflow. So stay tuned for these upcoming enhancements as we continue to build and improve Jotform workflow. And now I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Morgan, who will walk us through a live demo, I believe. And thank you. Morgan, over to you.
Thank you. Well, thank you again, Servet. That is, I find it very useful to be able to hear directly from the product manager on this. So I appreciate you being here. Especially it's very late at night where, or it's evening where Servet is. So thank you for staying late for this. I am going to do a demo now. Before I jump into the demo, we already have like 50 questions. So I wanted to answer, I just wrote down a few of the most popular questions on my phone here so I could just address those before demo. So first, most important question, is this being recorded? Yes, we are recording. This will go out to you automatically within the next couple of business days. If you need it sooner, if you want it immediately, feel free to email me, morgan@jotform.com, and I'll follow up with you with a link, hopefully by tomorrow. Is this only available to Jotform Enterprise users? No, this is available to all Jotform users. Every feature that Servet just mentioned is available to you regardless of what Jotform plan you're using. And I'm about to go into the demo here. I'm actually using a free account here, so you'll see that it works just as well for free accounts as it does for paid accounts. Can you do multi-step approvals? Yes. I will, I'll show a few different workflows. So you will see that. And does an approver need to be a Jotform user? No. So I will also show you settings for that as well. Those were the 4 questions that I caught come in multiple times. So hopefully that answers questions for a lot of you already. Otherwise, please keep sharing them. Again, there are a lot. We'll get through as many as we can in Q&A after I'm done with the demo here. And the demo may answer some of your questions as well. Okay, so I'm starting the demo here. I'm logged into my Jotform account and I'm on my Forms page. This is where you land when you log into Jotform. And when it comes to workflows, you have sort of 2 on-ramps to being able to create a workflow. One is to use the form itself and build the workflow into the form. The other is to go to your My Approvals landing page. So you wind up on My Forms when you log in. Right here is a drop-down menu that you can use to navigate to other landing pages in the system. So you can go to My Workflows. You'll see all of your active workflows, and you can see some of my deleted or hidden ones. And then you can also create new workflows from here. When you click that, you'll see three options. So you can start with an entirely blank slate and build everything from the ground up. You can start with a very simple one-step approval process. So here, this is just a standard approval. The approver is the account owner. You would slot in the form that starts this process, and then there's an approver deny. All of this can be expanded on and changed. So you can change approvers, you can change the starting points, you can change outcomes, you can add more outcomes, etc. So you can completely build on that. The last option you'll see here is to use a template. And you can see that we have a variety of templates in multiple different industries or roles, excuse me, that range from one that's pretty straightforward, like this first one you see here, through ones that are a bit more complicated. I am going to show two examples, but I'm not going to get into anything super, super complex. I did want to just show some of what that might look like when you get into more complex, more branches of workflows. This is a lead qualification form where the form is the starting point. There is an approval. If it's denied, the flow ends. If it's approved, it goes to one of the lead follow-up actions, depending probably on what the lead is, what the person has shared in that form. So you can see that there are multiple processes here that all ultimately end in the same spot. There was another one that I thought was maybe it's this one. Another different type, yeah, a ticket escalation form here. So here you can see once again at the top, we have somebody submits a ticket. If a ticket is denied, it gets canceled. If it's approved, it gets routed to the appropriate party to take care of the ticket. They then do the action or add to backlog. And then the person who submitted the ticket gets an email letting them know what happened, what the result is of their ticket, and the workflow ends there. So you can see, again, this is a split workflow that's going to multiple different places based on some decision that's been made. So these can get very complex, as you can see. I don't want anybody to think that, just that one-step approval is the only thing. As Servet mentioned, we started with an approvals product, but any approvals you've already created, they'll still be in place, but we have a lot more options and a lot more flexibility with what you can do now, which is, why we've changed this to workflows and why we're here today talking about it. Okay, so at this point, I'm back at my Jotform landing page, the My Forms landing page, and I'm going to move into my other two examples. Both of these I'm going to be building directly within the form. The first one I'm going to build from the ground up, at least sort of a partial workflow, so you can see how these features work. And then I'm going to walk through one that I've already created and point out some additional features there. So I'm going to start with this meal reimbursement form, and I'm going to hit Edit Form to bring it up in the form builder. The form builder is where you can build or edit your forms, and you can see a pretty straightforward reimbursement request here with name, email, department name, their supervisor, the amount of the request, and a receipt and a signature. This is the build tab where you can change the form however you need to. Publish is where you have all of your sharing options for the form, and settings in the middle here. That's what I like to think of as the things that happen sort of behind the scenes with the form. So if you think of workflows, your users aren't actually seeing a workflow. That's something that happens on the back end. So we're going to find workflows here on the settings tab, and it's that third tab from the bottom here. When you click on that, if you don't already have a workflow, you'll see this blue Create Workflow button. So I'm going to click that to get started. And here I have a workflow that's been started with me. The only thing that's included here is that this form, this meal reimbursement form, is my starting point. So the workflow will start when somebody submits this form. Here within the workflow builder, we also have three tabs. So builds, once again, is where we're going to create the workflow. Publish, again, is where you can send out the form. So again, you're not sending people to the workflow, but you're sending them to the form. So if you're in here building your workflow and you want to send out the form directly from here, you can do that there. And then in settings, in this case, you can change the title. You can choose whether or not your workflow is enabled. And you can also choose if a workflow will restart if a submission is edited. I know there was already a question about that, so I want to make sure that that is highlighted for you all as well. Back on the Build tab, on the left-hand side here is where you'll see all of the features that you can incorporate into the workflow. We have a Basics tab and an Integrations tab. Integrations is where you'll see all of those integrations that Servette just mentioned. There are about 25 here in Workflows so far. That includes things like Slack that Servette mentioned, sending out messages to your team. There's also a number of email marketing platforms and CRMs where you can pass off information from your form to those platforms, workflow management platforms, and then a number of cloud storage options. So if you want to send a PDF version of the form response or another PDF that's been submitted, that can go to your cloud storage. So all of those are here. I do want to mention that if you are within the forms on the settings tab of your form builder, we do have additional integration options there. So, this is what we have currently. It sounds like there will be more available in workflows directly in the future. If you don't see an integration you're looking for here, there might be a better step for you to take sending it directly from integrating directly from the form. So just something to keep in mind. On the Basic tab, so integrations will be all of your external integration platforms. Basic tab here includes everything that would happen within Jotform or that you can trigger from Jotform. And there's two sections here. The bottom are logical elements. So those are pieces that you can use to route your form in different directions. So the split workflows that I showed and those two templates that I pointed out. If else condition is a true or false, it's a binary choice and you can route based on that. Conditional branches, you can set up multiple different conditions to send a form through that process to whatever the next step might be based on that condition. I know there were some questions about that already as well. So that can get pretty complex. I'll show an example of that in this example here before I go to the next example. But just know you can absolutely route things based on form responses, and that's what you'll get there. Split branches allows you to split things so you can have parallel processes happening, and then merge branches gives you space to pull them back together, pull a flow back together. And then there's an end element here to end the workflow. At the top are all of the actions or things that can happen within your workflow. So from Jotform directly, you can send another form or a payment form. So that would be any form that has a payment integration. You can also send a Jotform sign document. So if you are a Jotform sign user and need part of your workflow to include sending a sign document as a follow-up, you can do that as well. In addition to the things that would get sent out from Jotform, you can also send emails as a result, assign tasks, which Servette talked about a bit. And then you have three different approval options here. So just a standard approval, approve and sign. So if you need a signature for an approval, and then if you're a Jotform Teams user, you can also do a team approval. Any of these can be set up so that a single or multiple people can approve or a single or multiple people must approve. So I will point that out in just a moment. And then you can also send out a PDF. So that would be a PDF version of the form response or another PDF, as well as a flow report. So that's a PDF version of this actual workflow and the steps that have been taken so far, if actions have been completed, et cetera. So you can send those to anybody that you would like to incorporate into this process. Let's say for this form, again, meal reimbursement form, let's say I have three different approval levels. So I'm going to start with a conditional branch, and I'm going to add in the conditions that would route this form. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, if the reimbursement request is for less than $100, we just need an approval. If it's for more than 100 but less than 250, we need a signature. And if it's more than 250, we need at least two people to sign off on this. So to create that, I've added the conditional branch here. You can see I have an error warning here because it's not connected to anything yet. You can click on that to get more information about what the error is. You'll see that anytime something's not complete in your workflow. And I'm going to hit add conditions to complete the action here. Anytime you add an action, whatever action it is, you will see settings to complete that action. So in this case, it prompted me right away to complete these settings, and it's going to ask me to add my conditional branch. So I'm going to call this greater than 100, and we'll say if the field that is labeled amount of request is greater than $100, That's going to be one condition. And then I'm going to add an additional branch that says it's called greater than 250. And we'll basically do the same thing here. So if the amount of request is greater than 250, we're going to send it somewhere else. Save that again. So now my branches have been added. And now I can go ahead and add my standard approval and my 2 approve and sign options. And I'm just going to add, so 3 here. I'm going to connect each of these by going to the previous step and pulling it over. There are also some additional connection options that I'll talk about more in the next example I'm going to show. For the approval, anything less than 100 is going to go here. So that's other options. My second option will be anything greater than 100, and my third will be greater than 250. And I can now set up my settings from here so that I can finish assigning people to approve these. In this case, I have approve and deny outcomes. I can change any of those. We request more info. We're not going to flat out deny somebody a reimbursement, but we might need more information. We can also add as many additional outcomes as needed there. We can require signature for any of those outcomes. And we can also add additional signers here. So by default, your approver, if you're doing an approval, is going to be the account owner, but I can change that, or I can add additional signers. Let's say in this case, I'm just going to leave it as me. In addition to what you see here, there's also the option to edit the emails that your approvers will see. You can also, you see there's advanced settings here where you can require comments, escalate if something's not completed in time, set an expiration, remind additional people, etc. For this one, I am going to add a second approver. So 2 approvers here, and below that, I have a completion rule where I can choose who or how many people need to respond. In this case, since it's over 250, I need to make sure that at least 2 people approve and sign this request. So I'm going to say require response from all, and then the rest of the settings are the same. From here, again, I'm not going to build this out entirely. I would also need to choose what happens if we need more information. But in addition to this, I might want to add something like an email at the very end of the flow that would go back to the person who submitted the request saying, your request is being processed. I can edit that by clicking on this. I can edit the entirety of the email. I can also add or change recipients here. I may also want to add something like a task to my accountant to make sure that they get it. So I can come in here and say, please add, please file, whatever. Add a description if I'd like. Choose what the outcome or outcomes are, choose who it's getting assigned to, and that sort of thing. So that's generally speaking how that all of that would work. But you can see we've started to build a workflow here that is automatically going to send this reimbursement form through a process where ultimately it will get approved and our requester will get their reimbursement. Okay, now let's go to my second example here. So again, in this case, I've already built a workflow and I'm going to talk through it and talk about some of the other options that you have. In this case, we have 3 conference-related forms. So we are starting to get ready for a 2025 conference in this hypothetical scenario. We have a registration form that anybody who wants to attend will complete. We also have a payment form that anybody who is going to attend will need to complete. But some people may want to submit a proposal, whether it's a presentation or a poster or whatever. Those people also will need to complete our proposal form. So I have built a workflow into the registration form here that's going to send those follow-up forms automatically to people who register based on responses that they've given. Once again, I'm hitting edit form and I'm going to go to settings and workflows. And here you can see that I already have a workflow in place. With the gear widget icon, I can delete this or disable it. So again, disabling would mean that it's still available, but it's not in process. So you can always re-add it, re-enable it at any point, but it's not going to be used while it's disabled. And then you can also edit a workflow clicking the pencil icon right here. So here we have the workflow that I have built so far for this. So we're starting again with this conference registration form as the kickoff for this process. And here we have this going 2 places. So right off the bat, we have a copy of this form going to Google Drive. So a PDF version of this registration is going to go to Drive for my records reference whatever I need. We can see what that looks like here. I've set up the form and what's being pushed over as I set up the integration. And we can see what's included in that PDF as well. So it has the status of this, since there is a workflow in place. It has all of the information from the submission and then the approver history based on this as well. So you see the actions that are taken there. Anytime somebody submits submits the registration form, their file will also go to this folder. However, I do want to mention, if you wanted to include all three of these forms, I could change this so that my Google Drive integration here is at the end of the process, maybe from email right here. And in that case, all three of these forms would get sent over to the folder that I assigned for them as well. So you can do that either way, have it go from one form or collect multiple forms. But if you do want to collect multiple pieces of information and have those sent over, this makes it really easy to get, again, multiple different forms incorporated into your workflow. Let's say in this case, I have that Google Drive integration. Let's say I also want to make sure that new people to me that I don't already have in my email marketing platform are added. So we're going to go ahead and add constant contact as an option. I'm sorry, as a part of this workflow. And once again, I will connect it right here. I'm going to click on it to complete settings. You will have a few steps before what you see here to log in, authenticate, allow both platforms to share data. Then we'll hit add action. And on the next tab here, I'm going to choose what that action will be. So I want to add people to my general interest list. I want to gather their email from the email field in my form. I want to gather their last name from the last name field in my form, and their first name from the first name field in my form. You can see that you can add additional options here as well. We can just continue to add fields. If you added one accidentally, you can exit out. You can also update existing records if you want to update people who are already in there. And then from there, just hit save. And so now, in addition to that PDF copy going to my Google Drive accounts, I will also see this contact information, any new person added to my constant contact account. So that is how the integrations work, generally speaking. Different settings for each one, but generally speaking, you'll drag and drop it where you want it to appear in the flow, connect it from whichever point you want it connected, whether that's at the top, in the middle, bottom, whatever, and then follow the settings that you'll be prompted to complete to choose what happens with that information. On the left side here, I also have an if-else condition in place. So this is what is going to direct that registration form or people who are registering through the rest of the registration process based on those two other forms I provided. So here I've added the if-else condition that says, if the field, are you submitting a presentation is equal to yes, that is the condition. If that is true, so if they say yes, I want to direct them automatically to the conference proposals form. So they submit, and after a minute or so, they get an email that is assigning them to complete this form. If it's false, they're not submitting a proposal, they're automatically going to be directed to that payment form. And then once they complete a proposal, for those who are doing a proposal, you can see no conditions needed here. That is also directly pulling them to the conference payment form. So everybody will start with the registration form. Everybody will end with the conference payment form. Some people will have that proposals form as a midway point. And just to show you, I'm not going to go through the entirety of what that looks like here, but you can see this is an email I've gotten after doing an example here. This person has been assigned this form to complete. So they click view form to move forward, that button there. And then they are at the conference proposals form. I have chosen to pre-fill this data as part of my workflow so that Callie here does not have to complete that as she goes through the rest of the process. All she needs to do at this point is upload her conference proposal file, register, and then ultimately she'll get directed to fill out that last form, the payment form as well. For that, I mentioned that pre-fill option. So here the result is a form that is going out in email. The email that you see here is coming from the conference registration form. Again, you can change that if needed. So if you need this to go, if you need another form to go to somebody else, it can. In this case, we're walking a single person through a process. So email is coming from that form. But as I click on any of these, you'll see that email listed here. We can change that and pull it in from the form if we need to send to a supervisor and their email is provided, for example. The pre-fill option is the middle tab. And again, you can see I am pushing the conference registration data to the conference payment form. So saving some trouble for people filling things out. I did want to also point out in this case, go back to the basic elements here. We see that I have a form for the conference proposals, and then this is a payment form. It has a little dollar sign next to it. So I'm using both the form and payment form here. In this case, I don't have an end to my workflow, but some additional steps that I might want to have here would be sending, I do have an email in place. So this again is going to the person who registered. Maybe I want to call this, you're registered and see you next year or whatever. And that can include any information I want to share about the conference. Additionally, we can add other elements as well. So if we need to send a task to somebody to say, print a badge for this person or whatever the case may be, we can do that. I could also send a flow report to people who are registered, letting them know where things are in the process. Again, whatever of these elements I need to do. That's pretty much everything I wanted to show with the workflow here, but I did want to point out some additional settings as well. So you may notice that I've kind of been moving around, zooming in and out just by where my cursor is. Right here on the lower left-hand side, we can also close the work add element toolbar. We can switch. So currently I'm on this hand that allows me to drag things around. We can switch that to this arrow where I can highlight multiple different things and move them or delete them if I need to start a section over from scratch. All of that can be done there. So let's say I deleted that. Can confirm I want to delete that section, but let's say I didn't actually want to delete it. There's also an undo option up here and a redo option. So those are there. You can always do a Control Z to go back to the previous workflow as well. So got those back. On the lower right-hand side here, we have a preview of the workflow that you can toggle on and off. And then this menu here gives you some organizational elements to your workflow. So you can build out however you want, but if you want something that looks a little bit more streamlined, you can switch to a vertical or horizontal layout and organize things in that way. Or if you think you've done it on your own and it looks messy and you want to change it to something, you have those options there. There are also different link styles. So we have 3 options here. You can switch among any of those. And then you can also auto connect. So that will look for a link spot and then dynamic links. So if you have dynamic links, let's go. I'm going to go back to my previous view here. Maybe I'm not going to go back to my okay. Well, we'll just use this example. With the dynamic links option, if you do move something, it will automatically connect the next step to the most logical points in the workflow there. So let me see. So here I can either just move this around myself, or maybe I'm doing the wrong there. There we go. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. I think that's everything I wanted to show. So again, hopefully these examples give you a good sense of how to get started with this. Again, I've showed you some maybe not super straightforward, but kind of mid-step approvals here, but these can be as simple or complex as you need. And again, it's not just approvals anymore. You do have multiple other things that you can do, both within Jotform and with external platforms as well. I am going to close with a couple of resources here. And then we have over 100 questions now, so we will get through whatever we can for the next 15, 20 minutes. I did want to point to the blog that we had introducing this that similarly walks through all of the new features and all of the steps to creating workflows. And then I also wanted to point to our YouTube channel. I'm just linking to the YouTube channel itself, but on here you'll also find short tutorials of different features from workflows. If you need a little bit more background about those approval options that I didn't go into a ton of detail about, you can also look for the webinars we did back when we launched approvals. There's a bit more detail in those. So anyway, our YouTube channel has tons and tons of videos for you. So I would absolutely recommend checking that out as well. This will be available on that YouTube channel a little later today too. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to open up the questions and try to get through as much as we can here. Okay, so there's 150 questions. So Obviously, we're not going to be able to get to all of you today, and I apologize for that. I'm going to try to skim through. Servette will be here to help me answer these. I may kind of generalize things as I go if I'm seeing the same question over and over. Um, but if we don't get to your questions, again, you can email me directly, morgan@jotform.com, or you can email our support team. So that would be jotform.com/contact. And support will be happy to help you out with whatever. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. So many questions. I'm so excited to see so many of you here and so many of you engaged in asking all these questions. Um, where and when can I find the recording? So we will send that out by email. Just a reminder, you'll get that within the next few days. You can also find it on our YouTube channel later today. And if you need it sent to you directly, you can email me for that and I will send it over to you. I see a few people had some trouble with video. Again, we'll have the recording, so hopefully no issues in the recording. Um, okay. But if a flow gets stuck, would you be able to restart the flow from that point instead of starting from the beginning? So Red, I'm just going to go through whatever I can here, and if you wouldn't mind answering questions, that would be great. So, yeah.
We don't have that, so you cannot restart the flow from a desired step. The reason is this, like, because the data changes. If the data changes at this certain step, then some of the conditions you write wouldn't make sense. Like, let's say you change the data, like you assign a form, right? And in this form, there's an input field that asks for the expense amount. And if this expense amount changes, then if you don't have a condition written to meet this criteria, then there's a possible that your flow may break. In order to actually cover these scenarios, we have so many feature requests on that. We are thinking of a solution, but currently you cannot restart the flow from a desired step. What you can do is this: if integration fails, we have added that to the integrations piece. If integration fails, it is possible to retry the integration, because there's no harm in that. It doesn't break your flow. If somehow integration is breaking because some third party error, or there's a connectivity issue, etc., and then you can retry the integration and make your flow continue from the step it stopped. But other than that, we don't have that yet, that you can start from a desired step. You cannot do that yet.
All right, thank you. And just, are there any limits on how many workflows you can create and how many steps can be in a workflow?
You can create unlimited workflows. We don't have any limitations on that. Actually, when you compare our workflow product with with the competitors in the market, you will see that this is actually one of the only products that gives freemium usage to its users. And you can create unlimited workflows. And in order to prevent the system from abusive usage, we have element limit, but these limits are really high that it is very hard to hit to these limits. It is more than 1,000 elements you can add to the flow without any problems at all.
Great.
And we are not charging for that.
Yes, no additional fees. Yes. Can I attach a document to the approval form? So if you're asking for an approval, can an additional document be attached to that?
Um, you can do that with task element, actually. Like, approval element is a little bit of, how to say, specialized for approval purposes. What with task element, it is possible to do that. You can attach a document to the task notification email, and you can ask from task assignee to check that and then work on this and complete the task accordingly. So with the task element, you could actually do that.
Great. I see a question about somebody who has an approval workflow already in place and is asking if this is going to change anything. So I think we did want to make sure that we confirm that there are no changes to anything that you already have in place. This is just adding functionality, so it should not interfere in any way with approval workflows that you have in place. Um, and I'm also seeing a number of people mentioning that they don't see the templates where I showed templates. So let me show you one other spot you can get to templates. So do you know why that might be that they're not seeing
Yeah,
templates?
just go to templates tab
Yeah.
and
Um,
workflow templates with the new tag it writes templates and workflow templates.
yeah.
We
So
have over 2000 sorry 200 templates available.
yeah, great. So if you're not seeing them from that space that I showed earlier, the landing page, you can go to templates right here, workflow templates, and you'll see them there. So hopefully that helps you out. Um, let's see. Can you edit templates? Yes, you can. So, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, you can edit templates. That's actually the more or less the whole purpose of it, because we don't want you to create some of the flows from scratch, some of the well-known and most used flows from the scratch. You could just click on use template button, and then you could edit wherever you want. You could add elements and remove some elements if you wish, and use it in that way. So yes.
Great. I see a number of people asking about additional integrations from here. So do you want to talk a little bit more about a
Mhm,
timeline or what might be next
mhm.
there?
So you will see that each day new integrations are being added to this product, and which integration will be added will depend on how many users will benefit from it. So we prioritize according to that. And next integrations we are planning to add in the pipeline are box sign and eye contact and Trello and Zapier and Power Automate, and it goes on like this.
Great. Can the approve and sign signature display on a PDF?
Um, I'm not sure if I get the question completely,
Yeah,
but you could actually
I think, are you able to see the signature on
mhm,
a PDF of the workflow, I think.
mhm. One thing we don't let is this, like if you add approve and sign element in here, and if one of your approvers is signing, we are not letting you to use this sign as a variable in emails or in task elements, because signature is a unique identifier for a person, and we don't let our users to use it as a variable in emails or in PDFs because of this reason. We don't let that. If I get the question completely correct, that's the reason why we don't have that. It's something intentional.
Okay, thank you. Can you add deadlines for approvals? I'll go ahead and pull up the settings if you want to talk a little bit about
Yes, it is
that.
possible. You need to click on advanced tab, and you could expiration. You just need to toggle that, and you could set or set a custom date or expire after certain. So you can add an expiration. Yes.
And I did want to clarify, also, I see a couple of questions about this. With this workflow, I did not connect to the final email. I was using that as an example. But to connect any step, all you need to do is to go to the step prior to this, so the previous step. And so let's say this is going to be the end result. So we'll say this has been approved, and then the email would go out once that's approved. So just go to the previous step, click on it, look for, you'll see these like blue spots pop up, and then
Mhm.
just drag wherever you want it to appear. Um, okay, we got a few more minutes, so let me get through whatever else I can. Here's another couple of questions about adding your existing forms to a template or pulling a templated workflow into a form. So that is possible. Servet, do you want to talk about that? And I'll pull up an example of that.
Mhm. Um, so um, you need to know one thing. There is one ground rule we have. You can use one form in one flow. We do that to avoid complexity. So if you actually use this template, then you cannot change the starting point form. You could use this template. You could look at this template and create a similar flow from scratch, or basically you could just click on the edit button and edit the form according to your needs, but you cannot replace it with a form you have. But you could, of course, edit it according to your needs and still um, continue with that way.
Great. Um, do do the flows need to have a start and end field for them to flow correctly? So they do need to have a start field, but can you talk about the end field option?
And element is actually optional. It is kind of a pseudo element, so you know where the flow ends. So it doesn't have any function. So you don't have to add an end element, but it improves the readability. Where it starts, where it ends, you see it more clearly. But starting point is, of course, fundamental.
Great. One more. Can forms that use workflows be embedded into WordPress or another site?
Yes, it of course, yes, it is possible. And whenever form is submitted, your flow will trigger.
Great. Somebody asking if creating an email is easy to do. So yes, when you drag and drop email in here, you can click on the mail icon here for settings for that. So by default, the email is going to include all of the form fields, but you can customize this however you need. So if you don't need to change anything, it's ready to go. Otherwise, you can change it however you need to. So just wanted to point that out. Um, Oh my gosh. I'm going to try to do maybe two more questions. And again, my apologies to everybody else. We are going to look through all of these questions after. Servet and his team will also have these questions. So your questions are absolutely helping us develop the product over time. And again, our support team is a really excellent resource for any information you need. You're also welcome to email me. I may not be able to help you directly, but I will try to get you to somebody who can. If not, support again is jotform.com/contact. And I'm Morgan at Jotform. Let me see if I can grab like one more question quickly. Um, oh my gosh. If you're using the free version, does the workflow take away from your forms, the forms that you get with the free version?
Um, it works that way. So with each form submission, flow gets triggered, and that counts as form submission. So yes, it is affecting your limits. So we count each flow trigger as one submission because it starts with the form submission.
Great. And that also answers another question is, can you have steps before the form, or does the form have to be the first step? And yeah, so any workflow is getting triggered with a singular form, kicking that off. Is it possible to reject a form and send it back to be edited? So yes, you can change any of the outcomes if you're using an approval. So in this case, we have approve or deny, but I could also change that outcome, change that to like, send back for editing or whatever, and you can add additional outcomes as well. So you can incorporate whatever you need there. And there was another question about multi-step approvals. So yes, you can add additional steps as well. So here there is an approval in place. If you needed an additional approval after that, you can add additional steps as well. I think we're about out of time. Again, we have all of these questions and we will be looking at them. Do feel free to get in touch with me if you have things that we couldn't get to today. Just know if you entered a question anonymously, I don't have access to your information, so I don't have a way to follow up with you. So if you do want a direct response, please feel free to email me. Um, and I do want to thank everybody for attending. I'm so sorry we couldn't get through more questions, but again, we're at almost 200 questions at this point. So clearly a lot of interest. I want to thank you all again for being here, for sharing your questions, for staying engaged. And we will have the recording available on YouTube later today, sent out to you an email within the next few days, and reach out with anything else. Thank you. And thank you again, Servet, for staying late and for being here today. It was very exciting to hear directly from you on our webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan.
And bye, everyone.